record. Yes, thank you so much, everyone, and welcome to our HR Gems August interactive session. Every month, we make our time to learn together, and today I'm really excited to have with us someone who I admire so much. He's a global thought leader. He's someone that has touched many lives, and he's still touching lives. We'll hear from him shortly. But very quickly, let me just share what HR Gems is all about. We are a community of like minds, largely HR professionals, and our focus is to transform minds so that we can influence the workplace positively. So you're welcome. We are also registered. We have the pictures of our board of trustees on the screen. Those are the people who are committing to driving the leadership of the network. Our mission, vision, core value is very clear. Overall, we want to transform individuals so that we can become better in helping harness the ingenuity in people, especially in the workplace. People always say, HR, bring back the H in the R, bring out the H in the HR, bring out the human in the HR. And I always say that sometimes we cannot give what we don't have. And our vision in our community is to transform ourselves largely through coaching tools and other life transformational tools, so that we are able to first, evolve, transform to be better professionals in the workplace, so we can also influence positively. Our core value is collaborate, love, impact, and purpose. We do this by knowledge sharing, taking certifications in coaching, team coaching, participating in several activities that helps us to transform ourselves. So today is another knowledge sharing time where we are going to be talking about a topic that is a going concern for every one of us: toxicity. I mean, a lot of us, we would have experienced toxicity in one form or the other, either, in an environment where we work, in an environment where we spend a lot of time. But I think it's really important that beyond just us experiencing it, how do we know what to do differently? How do we know how to address toxicity in the workplace? What tools, what learnings can we gain together, so that by the next time we're in our workplaces, we've been adequately informed on what to do differently and how we can tackle toxicity in the workplace. The honest truth is, toxicity does really impact people negatively and the workplace, unfortunately, because the business is not able to put numbers to the impact of toxicity in the workplace. It's quite difficult to be able to address it. But we are in a world now where people are a lot more informed about their mental, emotional, and physical well-being in the workplace. And if we want to drive productivity, drive performance, people have to be at their best whole self. And people cannot be at their best whole self in a toxic environment. Happy today we have with us a special guest who is going to be sharing from his wealth of wisdom on how can we address toxicity in the workplace. He's going to start by sharing a bit around the concept, and of course what we can do differently to start that advocacy and change in our workplace. His profile is very long. Honestly, when I saw it, in fact, first and foremost, he refused to send me his profile. So I asked for his profile, he refused.
So we are not reading any profile. Good evening, everyone.
He refused to send
My
his
name
profile.
is Emi Pashiel.
Wait. Calm down. Wait, I'm not going to read your profile. I'm just telling a story. So he refused to share his profile. And I said, let me go to LinkedIn and copy the profile so that I can read that. But when I saw that profile, I had to respect myself. Like, if I'm going to read this profile today, I'm going to spend 1/4 of our time reading this profile. But we all know him. He's a global thought leader. He's someone that has, like I mentioned, has touched many lives. Someone who is very passionate when it comes to driving the right kind of leadership in the workplace. And there's no other person than YF who I believe is apt for this topic. He's got over 30 years experience post MBA. And on that note, YF, thank you so much once again for agreeing to share from your wealth of wisdom with us. And over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening, everyone. I see many familiar faces, and it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Toro. I see you, Sheyi, TDA, Kausara, and a couple of other names. Vivian, it's been a while. How's life treating you? Okay, so I'm not going to allow anybody to put me under pressure this evening. I am not the only one who's going to deal with this topic of toxicity. Definitely not. We have all experienced it. We are all experiencing it in one form or another. I bought fuel this morning at 900 naira. For me, that's toxicity. If you ask me from a Nigerian point of view, and it wasn't that I just drove in and drove out. I still spent about 25, 30 minutes trying to get fuel at about 900 naira. So it's tough. Like I said, we are all experiencing it. It's not only Veronica. I'm referring to my last post on LinkedIn. It's not only Veronica who's experiencing toxicity in the workplace, it's everyone. So we're going to have a different approach to this conversation. We're all going to talk about it. We're all going to see how to address it, especially because I see many people who are not rookies in HR on this call, but people who I will say have become HR leaders in their own right. So it's something that we all need to deal with. But I would have really loved that this conversation that the audience for the conversation is a combination of HR people and business leaders. And I say that because sincerely, how do I say this now? Given my own experience, since about 2007 was my first head of HR role at Stanbic before the merger, and a couple of other headship roles within the HR function. After that, dealing with toxicity by HR is an uphill task. Let's not kid ourselves. It's really, really tough if we don't get leadership buy-in to deal with the issues around toxicity. But before I start allowing all of us to contribute, let me lay some sort of foundation around this conversation for me. I hear a lot of toxic conversations. We read a lot of it. HR is literally daily dragged on X and all other social media platforms when anything happens. As a matter of fact, remember the Veronica case, if anybody read that post on LinkedIn, a couple of people, as I was responding to all the comments and messages, a couple of people were still referring to HR. HR is mean. This is what HR does in Kenya. Somebody said, HR can be, why if HR can be? And I'm like, no, if you listen, this was a Veronica line manager conversation. However, ultimately, who takes the can for everything not going well in the organization? It's still HR. And like I said, we don't have a 100% of this sort of authority that we would have loved as HR people to deal with it. And that is why I said organizational leadership should be brought into conversations like this from time to time. But let's start with HR. With self on this journey. Let's start with self. I'm not going to attempt to shake any table. I've retired from doing that already. I'm not going to do that. But this topic, the fundamental thing about it for me is introspection. Toxicity in the workplace. Yes, we are talking about that toxic line manager, that toxic CEO, that toxic director. The question is, how self-aware are we as HR people that we are or we are not toxic? That is the first conversation to have. Let's start with self. Let's introspect. Let's think of our HR journey around the employee life cycle and think about the vibes that we give out on a daily basis within the environment. So let's start the journey from recruitment. One of the things that I do not like about recruitment I actually don't like to see it anywhere on any platform is working interviews. Working interviews. The moment I see working interviews, I just see a lot of non-planning going into that. Because when you say working interviews, for instance, I mean, that means everybody's going to come at the same time, right? That means everybody's not going to be sitting or waiting for their own turn, right? We're almost assuming that they don't have any other thing to do but to wait. And then people could wait for 2 hours or 3 hours or 6 hours, depending on how many people we're looking at. And I've heard HR people saying, I mean, I want to do better, but business isn't allowing me to do better, but to do working interviews. So what are we going to do in that instance? One of the conversations I had with someone was to say that, how many times have you used data to try to convince business leaders about the negative impact of that on candidates? And remember, we say that employee experience should always start with candidate experience. So if in 2024, I'm still waiting 2 hours and 3 hours, and everybody who's applying for the role, we're all sitting down and gisting and all that, maybe we need to use more data to ask the candidates after they've gone through that process, please rate your experience with our organization. What are your thoughts about our recruitment process? Maybe, just maybe, if we have it documented, we'll be able to do recruitment better. How about when we come across, if it's not, for instance, a working interview, and I'm going through the employee life cycle quickly. What about if when we get across to the candidate to invite them for the interview, what's the communication like? The most important tool, if you ask me, that any HR person should have to deal with toxicity within our own space, our own area of influence, is communication. So when you get across to that individual and you're inviting them for a test or for an interview, please be conscious of that communication. Be conscious of the things that you're saying or the things that you're not saying. Most times, the things that you're not saying are so loud, people are not listening to the things you're saying. So communication is important. How we deal with candidates at the point of entry, extremely important, because I hear every time, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not self-aware to the point where you know that you're not toxic, you just may be giving out toxic vibes without you knowing. And that's why I said, let's start with some note of introspection. I'm going to go quickly so that because of time. So that's recruitment. And I've touched only 2 things. And I know that there are many intervening variables in between the working interview situation or communication with candidate when we are inviting them for interview. There are so many variants of communication in between that we all deal with, especially as HR people. How are we handling all those footprints of communication with candidates before they join our organization? And you and I know that today, as we are evaluating candidates, candidates are also evaluating us at every touch point of conversation, of communication. When they join the organization, what's the onboarding process like? Do we still keep them in the conference room or in one meeting room for 3 hours or 4 hours, give them tea or coffee in the morning and we forget them there? Can we do onboarding differently? Can we give them a different onboarding experience now that they have become employees, right? Can we just let them have a wow experience right from the start? So we've dealt with the issue at the gate when they were coming in. Now they're in our organization as employees. Onboarding. And onboarding is not just your 2 hours of filling forms, of getting pension number, of getting bio data. It's a whole lot more than that. Your look and feel of the organization starts from day one. What messages of culture are we passing through our employees or to our employees at that time? Let's all go back and review our onboarding process. And again, like I said, it's introspection and just say, I mean, what can we do better so that we can give great employee experience right from the day of joining or even before they join the organization? What else? Yeah, so onboarding, the person has joined. We've handed them over to line managers. How are we checking in with them? Do we do a 30-day check-in? How's it going? HRBP, we say we're HRBPs. but we're not really close to employees and we're not checking on them after 30 or 60 days, you'll be surprised that the first 30 days may make or mar an employee experience. And therefore, the individual will decide, hey, I'm staying here for just 2 years, I'm on my way. Or I can't do more than 3 months in this place if this is what experience I'm getting in 30 days. Are we checking it? Because at times, because we are not close to the issues happening within the environment as HR people and leaders at times, what we tend to see is by the time we know what's going on, things may have become so bad that you are getting to read about your organization's toxicity on the pages of social media, right? So rather than wait for that moment, let's do our 30 days, our 60 days, and 90 days. How's it going? And all that. Learning and development. Are we still doing same old, or are we now personalizing L&D, working with line managers, of course? This is not solely an HR responsibility. It is an engagement that happens with the line managers to understand how are we really scaling up or upscaling the workforce. Some organizations, it's the same old people, this training and that training, same old. Are we equitable? That's the word I'm looking for. Are we equitable in how we handle our L&D processes end to end? Or are we just focusing, or are we playing to the tune of some line managers in terms of how we distribute the L&D budget? It's always going to be limited. Are we playing catch up with it? It's the end of the year now, so we've not spent any money since the beginning of the year. Okay, and then we then go to meet our favorite line managers and say, hey, we need to send your people on training and all that. I'm just saying these are just instances as we go along the employee life cycle. But don't forget, we started that conversation with self. If anybody is going to look at the screen right now and you see the word toxicity, I occurs twice in that word, Toxici. That word is not complete without you, without I, without an individual. So that's the reason I started from that introspection. How are we doing as individuals? And then we move on to the professional space. Because let's be real with ourselves. Since we are largely HR people, can we be real? Can we be real? We read from so many people on LinkedIn. We read from so many people on the internet, generally on social media. And then people who experience daily working with them, when they come to give feedback about their experiences, it is totally antithetical to the individual that we see online and the individual who works with people offline. So can we try and also bridge that gap of authenticity? Can we be the same individual at work 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, every month, every year to our coworkers, rather than use AI? I'm sorry, I'm just going to be as real as possible. Rather than use AI, artificial intelligence, to generate posts on culture, on leadership, on toxicity, and post it. And people will say, oh, deep gone, profound, I agree, and all that. That for me, it's not the individual that we should see in, especially our profession, HR. We are in the people management space. We should do a bit more. It's so disheartening many times, very, very disheartening that we hear of so many of our HR colleagues in senior management positions who are the ones sending their associates to therapy on a daily basis. It is very disheartening. Let's start that conversation with self before we now start looking at, okay, what else or who else? Let's introspect. Going forward, please, let's all go back, including myself, and I'm speaking to myself. I'm being very real. I'm speaking to myself this evening. We all need to go back and really examine how toxic we are in our workplaces so that we can change. You know, at times, or many times, I opine to say that we may not preach anything to address toxicity. It may just be that our ways of dealing with issues will communicate to the environment where we operate that we are different. And therefore, because we are impacting people in our small little spaces, we are therefore expanding our scope or area of influence. I mean, sincerely, and I know somebody at the beginning of this year in the HR space, I'm not going to mention names, of course, in the HR space, who, after being ill for a long time, got back to work, and there was no show of empathy at all from the boss, the HR leader. The individual resigned without another job. I try to counsel and advise to say, hey, plan your exit, like I always say, but the individual said to me, I mean, no, there is no way. I mean, having gone through that moment of illness, and this is what I get, no support, no empathy from my line manager, what's the point? And the person left. I'm aware of another person more senior than the first individual who is working with the same HR leader. I spent about 14 months now, and I have the CV of the individual. No, I mean, it's not working. It's not working. I know that. So guys, HR leaders, HR people, please, can we start changing the narrative? Not in terms of the things that we say, but in terms of the things that we do. Let's have a close-up between our appearances online and our interactions offline, i.e., when people interact with us. It's the first way for me to deal with that issue. The environment itself may be toxic, I totally admit, but can we just first be sure that we are not contributing to that toxicity? So in the culture of the organization may be really bad, but we don't have control over it, maybe to a very large extent. HR is also an employee. But at least in our little space, can we just have psychological safety? Can we have a culture that rocks? Can we have on Sunday evening people wanting to come to work with us, looking forward to Monday, rather than heart palpitation on I'm going to go work with that HR leader again. Maybe that's, what did I do? Gosh. That was me.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay. I thought it went off. Okay, sorry.
Mm.
I was wondering. Okay, so that is the start of this conversation. And then we move. I've taken 1 or 2 steps back from self and then into our function and look at the employee life cycle from the gate to the day one of onboarding to how we handle learning and development. How about performance management? Are we toxic through the process, or are we thorough through the process? That is extremely important. Our employee engagement activities, when we talk about employee assistance programs and all that, especially again around everything, because communication is the most important. Like I said, how are we communicating with people when it's time for performance management, when it's even the time for disciplinary committee, right? When it's time to exit an individual, are we still leaving them with some sort of dignity, or are we robbing them of their dignity, taking them through that exit process? So when we say toxicity, and it's not one thing that is dropped in the organization and it's emitting smoke everywhere, and we think, the environment is toxic. No, it's the daily interactions that we all have, one with another, and then one with our associates, that create that atmosphere of psychological safety, great culture, or a toxic environment where nobody wants to stay, right? The next thing I would love to talk about is culture. And I don't think that we can separate a culture conversation from a leadership conversation. For me, every time I tell a leader to look at the mirror, what I tell them that they see is the culture of the organization. And again, please, let's not think that I am talking to executive management as leaders. We are all leaders. If anything, if you're not leading 1 or 2 people, at least you are leading yourself. So how are you, number one, leading yourself within the organization? Your interaction, are you building the right sort of relationships? Are you nurturing solid connections within the organization from a self-leadership perspective, to the point where people feel safe, within your zone. When I've got a problem, I know that I just need to walk into Abdul Hafiz's office so that I can have a feeling, or I can get, I'm sure that once I'm done 10 minutes or 15 minutes with him, I know that even if my problem isn't solved, I'm going to feel better. And that should be based on data points of prior interactions, how we have self-leading in our interactions with other people. People will feel comfortable and safe to come to our space. And there will be the other opposite of, no, even if I'm feeling good, there are some people I shouldn't walk into their offices, because if I should go into that office, I'm going to come out worse off. So what are we as one, self-leaders, and then secondarily, leaders of people? Because really, leadership is everything. John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership, and that's the truth. So please, toxicity is not necessarily, for me, an organizational phenomenon. I think it is primarily first an isolated, or let me say an aggregate of isolated issues within small corners and small circles in organizations. It's possible for us to say an organization is toxic, but it's also possible to say that there's an individual who is not toxic in the organization. So how are we managing culture as HR people? And then as leaders as well, how are we role modeling the culture of the organization? Because really, it is how we leave people at every interaction that matters. How we leave people. If I see, I keep saying that if I see anybody working with, Lara, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on you. You invited me, so yeah. If I see anybody working with flour mills, and I ask, what is your work experience at flour mills? And the person says, oh, wow, it rocks. It is not because they see the managing director every day and they interact with the managing director. It's because they work with Lara every day. So that it rocks is from the perspective of who I am working with at flour mills. And if I see them and I say, what is it like? And they say, Omo, toxic, baje, I'm out of there. Why? This is my CV. It is also a function of toxicity in units, right? In departments that becomes an aggregate of what the environment, therefore, looks like. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with self. Be sure that those two letters, I in toxicity, they're not referring to you as an individual, that we can take you out of a toxic conversation. And sincerely, let's not kid ourselves, it's a difficult thing to do. At times, it's actually difficult for us to accept that we are the toxic ones. But if we do deep introspection, we may find instances where we need to first change. Change should start with us first before we can preach change to other people. So please, how to address it? Address self first. Increase your level of self-awareness about your interactions with people. Be that small sparkle in a total world of darkness, if possible. Even if your environment is all toxic, even if it is raining outside and you can't control the weather, at least in your room, you can control the temperature and regulate the AC. That is where it starts from. I don't think there is any magic wand that anybody is expecting from me to say that once you drop it, or once you say it, or once you swallow this pill, toxicity will disappear in any organization. I don't think so. At the end of the day, we all need to come together and agree that we need to feed off positive vibes in our organizations, and therefore it will begin to spread the message of a great culture. The next thing I think I want to talk about, and this is from leadership perspective, is HR people, please, can we also start getting close to our business partners, those who we work with on a daily basis, starting from at whatever level to whatever level, to tell them to stop promoting people into leadership positions without getting them ready for leadership responsibilities. we need to stop it. For as long as we don't stop that, that trend, the issue of this toxic conversation may never stop. Because what I have seen over the years is I am doing very well technically, and over the years I am therefore being promoted into the next level and then the next level. And after a while, over a period of 6 to 8 years, I move into a managerial position and I got promoted also because of my technical capability. I am bringing in money from the bank, or I'm saving money for the organization, or oh, my operational efficiency is great. Therefore, I am promoted to the next level. And that next level now means I'm managing a team, I'm managing a unit, or I'm managing a department. And guess what? Organization or the company hasn't prepared me for leadership responsibilities. It goes without saying, I am bound to not succeed in that role, unless, of course, I embarked before then on a leadership, self-development leadership journey that prepares me for that role. But again, when we look at cascaded culture, I may have been led up to that moment by a boss who thinks the best way to lead is to damage me. You know what I mean? And then I now have become a manager in a damaging culture. If that is not addressed, what it means is that I may have internalized the fact that the way to the top is for me to damage other people now that I've become a manager. So we need to please spread this conversation upwardly in organizations where we work, that we need to stop promoting people based on, one, technical capabilities into leadership positions, and two, based on tenure. He has been around for 5 years, or he has been around for 8 years, so let's make him a manager. Leadership and managerial capabilities, they are totally different things. If we want to address toxicity in the workplace, after addressing self, after addressing ourselves as HR professionals around how we treat employees through the employee life cycle, the next conversation to have is a leadership conversation. I have spent the last 2 weeks now coaching about maybe 15 to 16 people in an organization, right? I mean, the organization made this available to their employees. And I promise you, honestly, it's what's the word to use? Getting worse. Maybe I shouldn't use the word worse, but it's getting more worrisome that Gen Zs are becoming leaders of units and leaders of departments. And guess what? They have no clue what leadership is all about. No clue. It's just because, oh, a great product manager, and we don't want to lose him or her, promote, then start leading a team. Or what the software developer, backend developer, promote, or even in the HR space. Now, let me tell you the worrisome part, and I'm going to close now because of time for questions. Let me tell you guys the worrisome part of it for me in the HR space, because we are being real with one another. There's so many people who are heads of people and culture in many organizations today who have no reason being in that role. And I have said this to some of them before, and I have seen them go through sober moments. Many organizations are now in the space of cutting costs and getting inexperienced people to manage their HR or human capital or people and culture. A lot of that is happening right now. Business managers don't even respect them. A core member who served with an organization, 2 people in the HR function, and then right after youth service, the head of HR joined the jackpot train. And guess what the MD said to the copper? Shebi, you have been learning from this person for 1 year. You don't think you can do it? You can do it now. And they made my copper friend head of people and culture. Yes, real story. I am not fabricating anything. Real stories. So how do you want that individual to work with leadership, other leaders, to be able to address toxicity in that environment? As a matter of fact, putting that person in that position is already a toxic decision. If you ask him, it's really awada keri. Honestly, it's awada. But a lot of it is happening. A lot of it is happening. We are not looking for deepened experiences anymore. We're just looking for the easy way out. And then I've addressed somebody recently in my space. He may be listening now or he may not. Everybody's an HR leader now. That is if they don't add global to it. Global HR leader. So we just want to call ourselves different things because of maybe the craze for title or because we're looking for that next job. I think HR people, we should just talk. How did you know? Shay, I owe you lunch, Shay. Chat GPT HR. Shay, big time. Guys, as I round off, I think I've touched on all the areas that I wanted to touch on. As I round off now, somebody that I know very well posted something. And then I saw this post and I said, this person now. I'm not killing HR, Chineme, I'm just being real. Posted something and I read, I said, I know this person now. This person is a bit close to me. I know I have the person right. And I went to fact check the post. 100% ChatGPT. 100%. So if it was 33% or 32% or 35%, I mean, I will understand that we're using ChatGPT to aid the things that we know and all that. But it's 100%. And I'm thinking everybody on the post was saying deep gone, agree, profound and all that. And I'm thinking, are we saying all of that to ChatGPT or to the person who posted? So guys, I have been as real as possible with everyone in this conversation. I'm not throwing shade. I am throwing it at myself as well. Like I said, we all need to go back to introspect. This toxicity thing needs to be addressed. Let's not kid ourselves. We are leaving people damaged in organizations. I'm one of the few people who believe that, yes, the economy isn't good. Yes, the political situation isn't good. The security situation isn't good. But this topic is the reason many people are also leaving Nigeria. They've tried a one-man business, it didn't work, toxic. They've tried an SME environment, same. They've gone into an international organization. And guess what? Keeping a human being still there. They've tried that as well, and the experience wasn't great. Tell me, why wouldn't they explore opportunities out there? It's almost, I think, HR, and I don't know at whatever level, HR needs to declare a state of emergency. One, on the profession, and two, on how to work with leaders, executive management in businesses so that we can stem the tide of toxicity in workplaces. We hear daily of Chinese companies dealing with people anyhow, of Lebanese companies, of Indian companies, of Nigerian companies as well, dealing with our colleagues anyhow. Has anybody read anything anywhere where we sanction them? I mean, if anybody has read anything about such, given anything, just tell me. You know what? We are just all we need to stop this talk workshop. It is time for us to take action. Let's take it from talking to walking the talk. Because if we don't, honestly, we will continue to say, and I'm sure you can see that I'm getting a bit passionate about, because it is very close to my heart. Many of our colleagues are going through stuff. Many of our friends are going through stuff in toxic work environments. If we don't deal with it, we'll continue to have the conversations and nothing is going to happen. It's about time that we declare, like I said, a state of emergency on this from the HR profession perspective, and let's all go out. Let's all just go out and what's the word to use now? And try and clean the stables so that we can have great workplaces in Nigeria. Is it possible? Yes, I think it is. But first, introspection. 2, look at our processes, how we deal with people. 3, engage leadership about promoting people into leadership positions. And then maybe we need to start thinking about sanctions. And permit me to say, this may be from a regulatory perspective. I really would love to see that the regulators went to an organization based on what they heard or what they've seen, and then there was an engagement and we sanctioned that organization. It will send the right signals. Our political situation is what it is today because there is no repercussion for bad behavior, so to speak. If it's the same thing with workplaces in Nigeria where everything and anything goes and no one is calling anyone to order, I'm sorry to say, but this time next year and the year after and the year after, we'll still be talking about it and nothing's going to get done. Thank you very much. I'll take your questions right now.
Wow, amazing. Wow. Why if you you have scattered the table like you stated.
No, I'm retired from taking
You
shaking
left
tables.
no table for us to put our notepads on to write. Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, wife. Thank you. All our participants. If you found that session profound, please put an emoji in the chat box just to express how you're feeling. For me, it's a whole new word of revelation. That's the way I see it. Thank you so much, wife. Thank you. I mean, I love the fact that you started with retrospection, because a lot of times we are so quick to point fingers. Oh, that person, forgetting that the four other fingers is pointing at self. And that's why I said for us, HR Gems is more around how do we transform ourselves first. I love the fact where you also took us through the journey of employee life cycle. So when we talk about toxicity in the workplace, a lot of time we just think it just has to do with line manager, people relationship, but our processes as well. Do they create those enabling environments where employees feel safe and employees can thrive? So those processes that even HR owns is very, very important. You went further also to talk about the impact of communication, and beyond just communication, the need for us to pay a lot of attention to how we make people feel through our daily interactions with them. And if HR is going to be the role model for a healthy work environment, then we should not be found wanting at all. We are not perfect. We're not here to declare we are perfect. No one is perfect. For me, I believe we are all on a journey. We are all work in progress. We are all on a journey. And this avenue is to create that platform where people can take learnings for transformation so that we can be better people leaders. And of course, change agents in the workplace. Amazing session. Thank you so much. So participants, please, if you have questions, and let's have it now. So we can make it really interactive. We have one or two questions in the chat box already. I'll read out one from Abby Hamilton. I am more concerned on how an environment can influence you. Having a toxic line manager due to how he or she addresses things, and then little by little you pick up on these toxic behaviors without you knowing. So I mean, that also speaks to what you had mentioned, how damaged leaders indirectly, subconsciously build damaged people, and then we now promote people into leadership position without proper training, and they don't have any choice but to also lead people how they have been led. I remember I had an experienced toxic leadership for quite a while in my past years, about 9 years of my career. And I said to myself, I learned how not to lead rather than how to lead. So I think for me, the important part is what we want for ourselves as individual, how authentic you are, and how you want to touch and impact life. So, wife, I'd like you to talk a bit about, you mentioned it, but it was one question that I had in my mind around tough love. When some leaders, I was speaking to a friend who said, her boss is toxic, and there was a time they had that conversation, and the boss kept saying, no, tough love, that's her own way of helping her build resilience, to face life in a tough way. So what's the thin line between tough love and being a toxic leader, and how do you differentiate that?
Tough love is actually is a scam. Tough love is hypocrisy. Yes. Direct your friend to me. Let me have a session with your friend, him or her. Okay, so let me tell you what I share with people when I teach leadership. I say that we are managing at home, of course, a multi-generational family, right? definitely it's multi-generational. And then once we want to find ways to connect with our children so that we don't lose them in the sense of not being connected with them, what do? We continue to communicate. We continue to show them love. We continue to show them presence. We continue to show them tutoring. If they lock themselves up, if it's a guy, daddy will go into his room or try to go into the room. If it's a girl, maybe mommy, you know what I mean? Just to stay connected. We say treat them with love so that you can remain connected with them. And then we come to the workplace and we say treat them with toughness. I don't get it. Why would you think that anybody will remain connected with you if how you want to treat them is to be tough on them? Can't we do a Control-C of that treat them with love at home? And when we get to the workplace, do a Control-V and see a different result. See, treat them with toughness, tough love. It worked with our grandparents. It probably worked with us because options were limited. We wouldn't have any choice but to go to work the next day, even if there's a video like this that I'm almost recanting verbatim, even if the boss was abusive or the boss was going to literally beat us up. You know what? Options were limited for our grandfathers and maybe to some extent for us as well. So we will still go to work because we're working for survival. Then we started working for standard of living. But you know the current generation, right? They're not working for standard of living. They're not working for survival. They've got options. So if I go to work and I'm greeting you and you're not even answering me, you're doing conga to me as a Gen Z or a millennial. I mean, I'll be saying, what's wrong with this one? I can't live here. I can't survive here. If you want people to thrive, lead them with love, lead from the heart. Somebody asked me where leaders should lead. Is it from the front or from the back? I said, neither. It's situational. The best place to lead from is from the heart. So please, can we stop all this tough love conversations and go back to leading with love? It is when you connect with their heart and they know that you're not just a boss with title, but you're also a boss with relationship and that you have become a friend who's interested in their career journey and also their personal journey as well, then they will remain connected with you. They will not be working with your organization. They'll be working with you. But it is with the heart that we connect. So lead with humility, lead with empathy, lead with connectedness, lead with trust, lead with emotional intelligence, and throw away all this lead with toughness thing. It doesn't work anymore. You see, it's only madness. When we want to do the same things over and over, we carried it over from an analog world into a digital revolution, and we expect the same result. Or we expect that, oh, they're going to change. It's not going to work. These guys have options. They'll go and do TikTok. They'll go and do content creator. They'll go and do what again? Virtual assistant. They'll go and do wiggly at events. They'll do photography. They'll do events management, right? If they are not finding that connectedness at work on a daily basis, see, the pendulum has shifted in its direction. If there is anyone who needs to do more to get connected to the team, to the organization, to the workforce, is the leader, not anymore the team member. So that's my position on it. Lead with the heart, not lead with love or with toughness. Yeah.
Absolutely. Tough love is a scam. Thank you so much, Wyatt, for your insightful response. Lots of comments in the chat box. So I have a question here from Eke Ochoa. Wonderful session, sir. From the foregoing, is it safe to say that micromanagement in establishments often leads to toxicity? I'm not very clear on this.
Yes, it does. Don't micromanage, handhold. It's better for you to handhold than to micromanage. Unless we don't understand the meaning of micromanagement. Micromanagement is checking you every 5 minutes or 30 minutes. What are you doing? Have you finished it and all that? Oh, come on. Who wants to be at their best when they are constantly being micromanaged? Right? If I go back to parenting, even even kids, we need to be careful. I mean, in terms of our interruptions in their activities. You know what I mean? Rather than being a micromanager, can you be a strategic leader? Give them what to do. We hired them because of certain minimal skills and competencies that they have. So rather than micromanage, I would say that handhold, and if it's not working, then we need to take the hard decisions as well. That is part of leadership. In fact, that could be part of love if it's not working. But if you micromanage, as a matter of fact, you're probably gonna dig the individual deeper into the cave if you micromanage. Don't micromanage, work with them, sell the vision to them. Let them know, don't hold back information about where you're going. You are on a journey with them. So give them the map, the roadmap to say, this is what we want to do in the next month, in the next quarter, and this is when I want you to achieve it. If you need any help, which is what we don't do, and this is why we micromanage, we don't say enough of, if you need any help, I'm here to support you. So rather than letting them go ahead and do stuff and make their mistakes and then help them, what we want to do is checking them every time. And we're just killing the morale more and more. What we want to do is to say, yeah, it's not working. Your skills are not there. Let's talk about how we can improve on your skill. Your will or your motivation is low. What is going on with you? How can I help you to be there? We've got to connect, right? Rather than micromanage. Micromanage doesn't work. It hasn't worked for anyone.
Some response. Thank you so much. So I have a question here. And being a elected council member of CIPM, I think this question is apt for your response. So I have a question here from Daniel Uti. Well done, Prof. My question, what is the role of CIPM in regulating HR practices in the workplace, especially having inexperienced people promoted to people leadership roles in such organizations you mentioned, agencies taking up leading roles? So, Atut, elected council member, over to you.
See, as soon as I saw Dan on the call, I knew he was going to try to put me.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, I knew he was going to come for me. So he asked that question before. You didn't pick it up. He copied and pasted it again so that you can come up on your screen. Yeah, Dan, how are you? Nice to see you virtually again. So, my thoughts. I think we can do more as regulators. I think we should do more. If we publicize just one activity of going into an organization to check the stories we heard, we're not even saying sanction, just find a way to check. If we have that one story out there of the regulator visiting because of XYZ incident, honestly, it gives a sense of hope. It gives a sense of it's now it's not going to be anything goes anymore in corporate Nigeria. But in my adult life, in my work life, I have not seen any of such yet. I know these guys, MBA, they debar individuals, right? Because of disciplinary or gross misconduct, you can be debarred. Have we DHR'd anyone, or have we sanctioned any organization today? I don't think so. I think there's a lot more that we can do. Okay, I hope I don't get into trouble with this. Apart from giving out prizes and awards every year, can we do a bit more about cleaning corporate Nigeria of toxicity? The regulators can do more, in my own opinion. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much for sharing your candid feedback. Another question here from Care West. In a situation where the boss leads with the heart to some staff and otherwise with others, how can someone cope in such organization? I like to add dimension to that question, wife. So when you are responding, so the first dimension would be looking at it from a situational leadership point of view, where you lead people differently, and the second dimension would be from favoritism. If you find out that your line manager or the leaders have favorites within the workplace, which is toxic. So I'd like you to address the question from those two perspectives so that it cuts across situations that speak to this question, if you understand what I mean. Thank you.
Sure. I think, again, I'll start with introspection. The same individual, the same organization, or the same department, leading some with the heart and some not with the heart. The first thing I want to ask is why, if I'm not being led in the appropriate way, why me? Why other people? Is it a case of eye service that other people are doing, or is there something about me, right? I'll start that journey with me. Honestly, I always encourage people, please, let's not be shy to ask our bosses, our line managers, questions in terms of our relationship. So I can knock on the door and say, I'd love to have a meeting with you. I just realized that things are not really going on well with us, right? Is there anything you want me to do differently? How am I doing on my job? Are you satisfied with my productivity, with my output? The truth is that some of us, if you do self-appraisal, we know that we are like a cat, but when we look at the mirror and they tell us to draw our picture, we'll draw a lion. Even we know. So let's be honest with ourselves that we are not that lion yet. We have gaps to fill, right? After self-appraisal, go on to a conversation with your line manager, right? And then if it's about, like you said, like favoritism or what's the word? Or an environment that is not equitable in terms of interactions, you know my final thing around that? Manage the situation. Don't join the toxicity. Don't join eye service, but plan your exit. Shikina.
Okay. Your exit. All right. Thank you so much. I have another question here quickly from someone earlier. Yes, from Chidi. A manager who always wants to be in the loop, no matter how mundane the situation is. Would you say that's a form of micromanaging?
I think this is the Chidi that I know. I'm not going to say his surname, but I mean, that question sounds like the Chidi that I know. Chidi, no, I don't think so. But then don't be in the loop every 10 minutes. You've sold, like you said, the vision. You've sold the expectations around the job. You've explained the deliverables for the week, for the month, for the quarter. Don't also try to be in the loop every 5-10 minutes, right? It's great to be in the loop, but what you need to do, according to this book, the 4 disciplines of execution, you need to establish contacts of accountability, regular contacts of accountability. Is that weekly, end of every day? I mean, end of every week, or is that monthly, end of every month? Or the job requires you to have more frequent contacts of accountability? Yes, you can. But again, that is agreed up front. So I give something to do on Friday and say, can we check on Wednesday how far? This is on Monday. Let's check on Wednesday how far you will have gone. But keep me in the loop every 5 minutes. You are sending a message. I've not heard from you today. Keep me in the loop. I mean, nobody wants to enjoy working with a manager like that. So there is nothing wrong with being in the loop, but just don't let that loop be according to your own whims and caprices. Let it be something that is agreed. Like I said, schedule regular contacts of accountability, and you will see a difference. Look at, I mean, Chidi may know about football. You know, I mean, when we watch football, you see the coaches, someone like Arteta, once there is an infringement and the game stops, you see him quickly talking to 1 or 2 people. I'm sure that even the boys expect him to talk to them like that because he has established that as almost a pattern. So don't just dive in, pass to that guy. No, pass to that guy while the game is on. They won't enjoy the game. They won't enjoy the game. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That questions are just dropping in.
I'm in trouble, though.
You are in big trouble, wife. Okay. There's one question from Elect Samuel. After appraisals, how do you address self-appraisal, I believe, in this context?
This one I just said, no. Question is coming out of it.
Now, how do you address toxic situation relating to top managers?
How do you, sorry, I didn't get that question, Lara.
After appraisals, how do you address toxic situations relating to top managers?
Relating to top management.
Yeah.
Self-appraisal is self-appraisal. See, I may not understand fully that question, but this is what I think. Self-appraisal is not something that we take out of context.
Hmm.
It is within the context of an appraisal system. The way an appraisal works, the most important part of it is the beginning of it, not the end of it. We seem a lot to focus on the appraisal itself at the end of the year, the rating we want to get out of it, rather than focusing on KPIs, objectives, deliverables at the beginning of the year. Once we are clear about what we want to do, then we can walk throughout the year or throughout the quarters or throughout half year to achieve that objective. So what are you self-appraising yourself against? Pre-agreed objectives or KPIs or OKRs or KI, whatever it is called, something we want to achieve at the beginning of the year. So don't do your self-appraisal based on emotions. Don't do it based on some effect of, I just did very well last quarter, but we're saying that self-appraise yourself for the year. So self-appraisal should be related clearly to what the deliverables are rather than emotional considerations. Now, this is what I'm going to say. We are in almost September now. If we're not been doing this, let's start thinking ahead of time to do it differently. By the first month, second month of next year, make sure that what you're working towards for 2025 is agreed with your line manager. Agree. If your line manager doesn't give it to you, knock on his door and say, what are the objectives for this year? What are our KPIs? Put them on notice. Otherwise, appraisal is already dead on arrival. Whether it is self-appraisal or line manager appraisal, it is dead on arrival. Go back to making sure that what is expected of you for the year, you are very clear about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wyatt. We'll take two more questions. First is from Prince Whale. Does toxicity always stem from leaders or managers at the workplace?
I'm trying to look for that question because I'm struggling to hear you very well.
Okay. Can you hear me clear now? Am I audible?
Yes, better now. Better now.
Okay, so does toxicity always stem from leaders or managers at the workplace?
Absolutely not. And that's where we started the conversation from. We said that we all need to do a sort of introspection, i.e. our engagement with other people. So even if we are leaders or managers, we are also employees reporting to other people. In many instances, looking at the structure of organization. So yes, that's why we said toxicity has two eyes. That means we have I relating to you, and you are so important in the scheme of things that you occur twice. So there are two I's in toxicity, and that is because it can happen from anywhere. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, a leader not dealing with a toxic team member will increase the toxicity in the team. So it's not always the leader. But if the leader doesn't deal with it, that means the leader is accepting it, is rewarding it, is saying it's okay, and then that may increase the level of toxicity in that team. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wyatt. One final question from Marianne. Is it proper for other departments in an organization to be earning more than people in HR? When the HR personnel have more experience on the job, but for Miriam, toxicity has to do with pay inequality.
No, but I agree. Actually, maybe I didn't touch on reward when I was going through the employee life cycle. Yeah, I skipped reward. So yeah, toxicity can show up in our reward or pay structure. But for me, it is not about a department pitched against another department. It's about jobs evaluated for their worth. So I have been in HR department before where I was earning more than, I was a senior manager. The next level was director, and I was earning more than 3 directors in one of my prior lives, because I owned payroll, you know what I mean? So I knew what everybody was earning. So it is not a function of department, it's a function of the job. the worth of the job. If we have not done a proper job analysis, job design, job evaluation, we may run into a situation where some departments may be seen to be more important than other departments, and they may be earning more. And that happens, but we shouldn't think that because we are HR, we should earn more, or because we are HR, we should earn less. Let me give you an example. In some environment, the head of HR may be a director, and the director will be earning more than another head of the department in, say, business development, who's a senior manager. But in another smaller environment where the head of HR is assistant manager, for instance, we wouldn't expect that assistant manager to be earning more than managers or senior managers in other departments. But if they're on the same level, AM manager or AM head of the department, AM head of the department and all that, then we need to be equitable. But you know, the tool that helps us to do that is the job evaluation process. Yeah.
Thank you. Even though that was meant to be the last question, but a question just came in from Henry. Please, let's take it. How will HR deal with a toxic workplace being pioneered by the MD? In addition to the MD, I would also like to add board of directors.
I'm already holding my head. And there's only one word: run. No. Run. That's the only thing I can say to that one. Okay, so I don't usually say that people should run at the first instance of adversity or toxicity. See, for as long as you can manage it, don't join them, please. I will always say this: don't join them. No matter how attractive joining them may be, don't join them. For as long as you're in that organization, please give your best to it and get the best out of it. Be wise, deal with it with the level of wisdom whilst you are still in that organization. But please, you may need to plan your exit, right? Now, this is the last thing I'll say on this. Let's not also, as individuals, define toxicity based on what we are getting out of the system. So I have seen people who are benefiting from toxicity and did not see the environment as toxic. And I have seen people, the moment they lost out on certain benefits that were accruing to them before in the same environment, all of a sudden, the environment became toxic. So guys, define toxicity irrespective of your own context, whether you are gaining from it or not gaining from it. Thank you very much.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much, Wyatt. We have some of our seniors in the house. It will be good to hear from one or two people, their contributions to this conversation. Any of our core thought leaders in the house.
The real ones. I can see the real ones.
The real ones?
Yes, sir.
Do we have anyone who wants to share in addition to the awesome conversation that we've had so far this evening? Anyone, any of our seniors in the house? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Reverend Adishino Adilowosa, you have been nominated. You have been nominated, sir. He's someone who's doing phenomenal in the EAP space. So it'll be nice to hear from you, sir. He's a veteran. Well, yes, sir.
Lara, let me first compliment you on the good work you're doing on the EAP. Sorry, you see, you put words in my mouth on the HR space. Yemi is my boss.
Before you go on, sir, let me just let everybody know that Reverend joined me in marriage 27 years ago. So let me just tell everybody. So I can never be your boss, Reverend.
Oh.
And I probably gave you your first job at
TMJ Systems and Lines.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
I probably gave you, but you see, this is the day of reverse mentoring. And one thing you know is that I'm always willing to learn.
Yes,
I've seen Dr. Ozas on the program. Oga Ozas, I remain loyal, sir. I'm always willing to learn. I will look at toxicity Toxicity from, you've done very well. The employee life cycle is an holistic approach, but I would probably look at it from the EAP perspective, which will look at the culture, the people, the culture of the institution. I'm so happy that the culture of EAP is gaining ground, and it will help to address issues like workplace harassment, toxicity, and all the negative values or value eroders that we have in the workplace. You've done very well. I like your approach of the employee life cycle because it's holistic from entry to exit. But I would have wanted you to look at it from the culture dimension and the whole of the workplace environment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Yemi. Thank you, Lara, for acknowledging me. This is why I really don't feel old when I interface with the Gen Zs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to hear from you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think one thing that I admire so much about you, sir, is your support. Yes, you love to learn, but over the years, you've always been very supportive of our growth. And our prayer is the Lord will continue to grant you wisdom in the name of Jesus. Thank you so much, sir. Wow. Thank you so much. Yes.
Lara, in line with federal government policy, monetize that appreciation.
One, we have to contribute.
Right offering.
We have to contribute to our collect offering, sir. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much, everyone. Wife, thank you. It's really been an awesome time. Listening to you is always very refreshing for me. There's no time you get to share from your wealth of wisdom that I don't leave being a better person from your wealth of knowledge. On that note, I'd like to appreciate everyone on the call, all our seniors that stayed up to this time. Unfortunately, because of time, I'm not able to call your names, but we're here to say thank you so much. All our participants, thank you for making it very interactive and very engaging. Thank you, Dr. Sars. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for taking out time from your weekend as well. And on that note, I like to say, for me, it's really not about what we have heard. My parting word would be, let's go walk the talk. So we have learned today, what is that one action that we will take going forward in the process of addressing toxicity in the workplace? How are we going to show up at work from Monday being a better leader, a leader who connects, a leader who leads with humility? How are we going to create that environment of psychological safety? If every one of us is contributing, then it's going to have a ripple effect overall in our practice. But I believe we all should hold ourselves accountable and continue to contribute our quota in being influential change agents in our workplaces. On that note, thank you so much, everyone. I am deeply grateful and honored to have you. Thank you, YF, once again. Thank you all our seniors. Thank you all our participants. We appreciate you all. And we look forward to having you next month at our HR Gems September Interactive session. Please be on the watch out. We'll post on all our social media platforms. On that note, thank you so much, everyone. And
bye, everyone. Thank you.
Great
Thanks
weekend.
for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture.
Everyone.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Lara. Thank you, YF.
Well done. Thank you.